Your true nature or your essence, and if you're in tantric psychology and tantra practice and all these other things, Vajrayana, Dzogchen, you know what I'm talking about, but let's just always make it clear before we start. This is really important. And, this may not be fully understandable if this is the first time you're hearing this. My true nature. What do you mean my true nature? Well, let's talk about what that is. Your essence or your true nature is like a mirror. It has the quality of a mirror in that it can reflect anything. Your true nature is like a mirror that can reflect anything. And yet, just like a mirror, if I bring this control device in front of the mirror and the reflection is in the mirror is not affected whatsoever by this control device. Your true nature is like a mirror. All the universe that you experience, everything you experience in the universe arises within and on the surface of, if you will, for the analogy's sake, your mirror that you are. All this arises within it, meaning your self-images, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, even literally in our tradition, the whole outer world arises within your own mirror essence, your true nature. But no matter what arises within it, no matter whether it's horrific or wonderful, it does not affect the mirror's ability to host anything, to remain unaffected, and to allow everything to arise within it. So the difference in our true nature between the mirror analogy, a physical mirror, and your true nature of your reality that you're experiencing right now, whether you know it or not, is that in a mirror situation, the mirror is separate from the reflection. But in our situation, our true nature is not separate from the reflection. The reflection arises within our mirror-like essence, not on the surface, because it's not two different things. And yet, the mirror-like essence is unable to be affected by what arises. Right? Now, what arises within that mirror can be free of limitation, free of conditioning, or it can arise and become conditioned. Right? So when it's free of limitation, that's our enlightened nature expressing. That's our true nature expressing. Our svasvarupa in Sanskrit, our self form, or our rigpa in Tibetan, our essential nature, right? Now, the trick is we've lost contact with our mirror essence. This is why we're online right now learning about the six realms. And that's what's so wonderful about it. We need these teachings because we've actually lost contact with our own essential nature. It sounds quite strange, but we all know that sometimes we get lost. Like we don't even know who we are on a personality level. We do something outside of our normal personality, outside of our normal characteristic mode of behavior. So if that can happen, certainly we can lose track of and become unaware of our own true essence nature. So we've lost contact with that mirror essence quality that we really are at our core. And what happens is we start to think that we are one of the reflections in the mirror. So imagine if the mirror began to identify with the reflection in the mirror, and the mirror lost the identity of itself as that which hosts everything and allows things to arise within itself. That is how we get separate. That is how we suffer. We begin to identify ourselves as the reflection and forget about the mirror. That's what we did. That's how we got here. That's the anavamala if you're into Shaivism. Okay? We forget. We don't have a sense of our mirror-like nature. And this lack of knowledge of our true nature, Jnanam Bandha, if you like the Shiva Sutras, we're big fans of Shiva Sutras. Chapter 1, Sutra number 2, Jnanam Bandha, knowledge is bondage. The lack of knowledge of your true nature is also bondage. This lack of the true knowledge of who we are causes us to suffer. Why? We attempt to escape our sense of loss and fear when we forget that we're the mirror. And it's not just a matter of remembering, it takes a little more work than that. But when we forget, when we lose contact with our real situation, that we are this mirror essence quality that can host any reflection, and we become identified with a reflection in the mirror, this dharma thing, this body-mind structure, I'm thinking this is me. I'm forgetting I'm the mirror primarily, and that this projection of me, reflection within the mirror, is also part of me, but temporary and transient. But when I fully identify with this, What comes with that is the fear of annihilation, a survival, panic, because we know every individual experience in this universe ultimately disappears. Transient nature is the law. That's it. So we get a little bit of a panic. We start to freak out a little bit. And we start to act out in body, speech, and mind in different ways that will distract us from that reality. In other words, it's so hard to deal with the fact that we've lost connection to our mirror essence, because we don't even know what the mirror essence is unless our guru or our lama teaches us what that is. We're lost at sea, a little rowboat in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So we freak out. And in that freak out, we do anything we can to not think about the fact that we're lost at sea, that we don't even know what a mirror is, our true nature. So we act out in body, speech, and mind ways that keep us distracted from this actual situation. We create false worlds for ourselves to inhabit, fantasy worlds to inhabit. They seem real, but they're not. They're projections of our consciousness. And we don't realize our true nature. We actually create false personalities as well, false characters, acting out like in a movie, but it's not really who we are. If we're following our nadi, then we're getting closer to who we are. But still, that's still a projection in the mirror and will resolve one day. But following our nadi or our purpose or our fate helps us to see ourselves in the mirror more than when we're lost in a fantasy of our own creation, right? When we're writing a movie script and living it out moment to moment. That's what most of us are doing. We're writing a movie script of our life and living it out moment to moment, not realizing that we're caught up in this movie thing and it's not even real. So at the end of our lives, if we die this way without ever having realized our true nature, we take rebirth. We take a rebirth. We take a rebirth into a realm. You can think of a realm as a situation, a complete situation of energy, of thought, of activity, of forms, and so forth. We take a rebirth into an environment that is analogous to our predominant mental emotional fixation at the time of death, right? And pretty much, if you do our death and dying teachings in Trikamasiddha Yoga, you know this one over and over again. It's what you've done your whole life that adds up at that moment. Now, to go in, now we know what our nature is about here a little bit. And we know that we take activities of body, speech, and mind and patterns of those activities to buffer that experience of not being connected to our mirror nature, our essence, our Shiva nature, whatever you want to call it. And what happens is we have 6 ways that our energy can pattern itself: our consciousness, our thinking, our feelings, our emotions, our impulses, our motives, and the actual activities we take are easily categorized into 6 categories. This is the beauty of this teaching. It's very handy, you know? So there are 6 clearly defined mental emotional patterns that we identify with in place of, it's too much to say in place of knowing our true nature. That's true. When we're enlightened, it'll be, you know, we'll know that. But it's in place of, on a relative level, present moment awareness. When we remain in very clear present moment awareness, and of course, present moment awareness can be divided into layers and layers of what is really clear and bright present moment awareness versus what is, you know, just starting to be aware, right? Like an amoeba. So if we have real present moment awareness, without grasping any kind of self-image at that moment, for that one moment, we can say we're in PMA, or present moment awareness. And we're not grasping at self-images. We're not resisting anything. We're not resisting any pain or suffering. We're not grabbing towards anything pleasurable or comfortable, just right in the middle. Everything is just happening as it is all around us. It's wonderful, involving us, but we're not grasping and we're not pushing away. Raga, dvesha, just like way back in classical yoga. No grasping, no pushing away. Okay. So if we are in that present moment awareness, we're not in a 6 realm fixation. But here's the thing. As soon as we leave that, and boy, do we leave it quickly. We get distracted really easily, us human beings, right? Oh, there's a nice soft pretzel. That looks good. Gone, you know, right? Right away, we're in one of the 6 realm fixations. Now, I see a soft pretzel. Okay. So I've lost present moment awareness. I'm in a human realm, remembering when I loved to have that pretzel with my grandma with mustard. It's not very deep in yet, and I can rectify. Oh yeah, okay, relax that thought, come back to my breath, come back to my second attention. Right away, I'm in present moment awareness again to some degree. And now I'm aware of the 6th realm fixation that's occurring, but I'm not like buying into it. or it can be really deep. I can get really lost in it. I could be, someone comes over to my house and starts attacking my children. I lose my mind and go into a fit of rage and anger and go attack that person, right? So this is the way it can happen as well. And then I'm really deeply into fixation. I've lost all sense of myself as a normal, cognate, present moment awareness person, and I'm killing somebody, right? I'm deeply lost in a fixation at that point. So as a spectrum, each realm is actually an inversion or an inversion or a contraction, a limitation of a virtue. Now, virtues are what spontaneously arise from the mirror-like essence of your nature when you're not having that energy be squeezed into a filter, come out through a lens of your conditioning. Karmic conditioning. What kind of karmas? Past life karmas, ancestral karmas, karmas accumulated during this lifetime. Those are the three types of karmas we have. It covers them all, right? When the spontaneous energy is arising from our essence nature, which it does constantly, incessantly, the mirror is constantly radiating a luminosity. When that luminosity radiates into this realm and we haven't squeezed it with our conditioning, it's a virtue. And we are a virtuous person then, expressing virtue naturally, spontaneously. The things like love, wisdom, truth, courage, loyalty, kindness, generosity, these are, in the purest sense, the pure parashakti, the pure energy, the pure ropa, tsel of these Sanskrit and Tibetan languages, of the energy that arises from our being, uninhibited. And they're beautiful. It's what makes life worthwhile and beautiful. It's the whole goal of tantric practice, is to live in that, right? That's why we're here. So there's a psychological process of working with the six realms to try to, learn to open up to those virtues, learn to take the virtue that was arising that got squeezed down, squished down, right? Like carbon of a tree that fell in the forest 2 million years ago and under the pressure of the earth is being squeezed and becomes what? A diamond. It can be released and find a diamond. So we can release that pressure on the virtue and let the diamond-like quality of the virtue be right there. It's being veiled by our usual modes of body, speech, and mind that buffer us from reality. But we've become robots. We don't even realize it. So let's today discover 6 modes that we have that we can find, wow, I can see myself in these modes. And I know I have certain ones that we do them all. By the way, right here, I'm going to tell you right now, don't think you're perfect. No one is. I'm not. We all do these 6 realms. It's about how we learn to work with it. And that's why we want to talk about this process.